The dimly lit room was alive with the hum of computers, their screens casting an eerie glow over the sea of hooded figures huddled around them. The air was thick with tension, the only sound the soft rustle of fingers flying across keyboards as the hackers worked tirelessly to pull off the heist of a lifetime. At the center of it all stood Rachel, her piercing green eyes scanning the screens for any sign of trouble. She was the team leader, the mastermind behind the operation, and she knew every detail by heart. Her dark hair was pulled back into a tight ponytail, revealing a smattering of freckles across the bridge of her nose. She exhaled slowly, her shoulders squaring as she surveyed her domain. "All right, guys," she said, her voice low and steady. "We're getting close. The target is within reach." The room fell silent, each member of the team waiting with bated breath for Rachel's next command. They had been planning this operation for months, poring over lines of code and studying the security systems of their target. It was a game of cat and mouse, with the hackers playing the role of predators stalking their prey. The target was a high-stakes poker tournament, where millions of dollars in virtual currency were up for grabs. The tournament was invite-only, with only the richest and most powerful players able to participate. Rachel's team had managed to infiltrate the system, using a combination of social engineering and brute force to gain access to the tournament's database. As they worked, the hackers chatted quietly among themselves, their banter laced with tension. This was it, the moment of truth. One wrong move could mean disaster, and everyone knew it. The team leader's eyes flicked to her second-in-command, a soft-spoken kid named Alex. He was the master of social engineering, able to talk his way past even the most skeptical security measures. His dark hair was slicked back, revealing a messy tangle of acne on his forehead. He looked up at Rachel, his eyes wide with excitement. "Ready when you are," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Rachel nodded, her expression unyielding. She knew Alex was nervous, but she also knew he had this. They all did. The hackers fell back into their seats, their fingers flying across the keyboards as they worked to breach the final layer of security. It was a slow and painful process, with each failed attempt sending a wave of frustration through the team. But Rachel was undeterred. She pushed forward, her mind racing with possibilities. What if they could hack not just the tournament's database, but its entire infrastructure? The idea sent a shiver down her spine. It was a risk worth taking, one that could pay off in a big way. The hours ticked by, each second feeling like an eternity. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Rachel let out a triumphant whoop. They had done it. The database was theirs for the taking, and millions of dollars in virtual currency were now within their grasp. But as they began to transfer the funds, a new problem arose. A rival hacker, known only by his handle Zero Cool, had managed to infiltrate the system ahead of them. Zero Cool was notorious for his cunning and expertise, and Rachel knew she had to act fast if they wanted to stay one step ahead. "Get ready for a fight," she said, her voice low and deadly. "Zero Cool is here." The room fell silent, each member of the team bracing themselves for battle. They had anticipated this moment, but that didn't make it any easier. Zero Cool was a wild card, unpredictable and prone to taking risks. As the minutes ticked by, the tension in the room grew thicker than ever. It was like a living thing, pulsing through the air as the hackers waited with bated breath for their opponent to make his move. And then, without warning, Zero Cool struck. His avatar materialized on the screen, a smirking face with eyes that seemed to gleam with amusement. "Well, well, well," he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Look what we have here. The great Rachel and her team of amateur hackers." Rachel's eyes narrowed, her jaw clenched in anger. She knew Zero Cool was trying to intimidate them, but she wasn't having it. "Not today. You're not taking this down without a fight," she said, her voice steady. Zero Cool chuckled, the sound sending a shiver down Rachel's spine. He was good, too good for his own good. But he also had something that Rachel didn't: experience. And with that, Zero Cool was ready to take on the world. The battle raged on for what felt like hours, each side trading blows and counterattacks in a dance of ones and zeros. The hackers worked tirelessly, their fingers flying across the keyboards as they battled it out. But Rachel had a secret weapon: Alex's social engineering skills. She knew Zero Cool was confident in his abilities, but she also knew he was arrogant. And that arrogance would be his downfall. As the tension built to a fever pitch, Rachel leaned forward, her eyes locked on the screen. "Time to talk," she said, her voice low and husky. Zero Cool looked up, a hint of surprise on his face. He had expected this, but he hadn't expected it to happen now. "What do you want?" he asked, his voice wary. Rachel smiled, a cold smile that sent shivers down Zero Cool's spine. "I want to see what you're working with," she said. "Show me your hand." Zero Cool hesitated for a moment before producing a piece of code from thin air. It was a masterpiece, beautifully crafted and full of hidden traps and counter-traps. Rachel's eyes scanned the code, her mind racing as she worked to analyze it. She knew this was it, the final showdown. With a quiet determination, Rachel began to type out her own response. The room fell silent, each member of the team waiting with bated breath for the outcome. And then, in an instant, the code was done. Rachel leaned back in her chair, a triumphant smile spreading across her face. "It's over," she said, her voice steady. "We won." Zero Cool's avatar shook his head, a look of admiration on his face. He had underestimated Rachel and her team, and now he knew why. "You're the real deal," he said, his voice tinged with respect. "I didn't think anyone could take me down like that." Rachel shrugged, her smile still plastered on her face. She had won, but it came at a cost. The virtual currency was hers for the taking, but she knew it would come back to haunt her. The hackers erupted into cheers and applause, each member of the team congratulating Rachel on her victory. They had done it, they had pulled off the heist of a lifetime. As the celebration died down, Rachel leaned forward once more, her eyes locked on the screen. She knew this was just the beginning, there would be more battles to fight, more opponents to defeat. But for now, she savored the taste of victory. It was sweet, and it was worth every moment of sweat and blood and tears that had gone into pulling off the impossible. The room fell silent once more, each member of the team lost in their own thoughts. They knew they would be back at this again soon, but for now, they could bask in the glory of what they had accomplished. As Rachel leaned back in her chair, a small smile played on her lips. She knew she was already planning her next move, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. This was just the beginning, and it was going to be a wild ride. The lights flickered once more as the screen went dark, plunging the room into darkness. The hackers waited, their ears straining to hear the sound of the tournament system shutting down. And when they heard it, they knew they had won. They had pulled off the heist of a lifetime, and no one was going to take that away from them.